So anyway, he sends me a link to the article. So Anthony went through it. Since it's out there, why don't we talk about the numbers from Dr. Katres over at AnonTech and Tech Potato, his YouTube channel. The chip itself. Do you want to run us through it, Luke? I feel like I've done a lot of talking.
It's so because we're going off of their numbers, I believe this was Anthony laid it out this way. I think it's actually pretty cool the way he laid it out. So I'm just going to run through this instead of scraping off of their review. I was originally looking through their review, trying to pull some data points, whatever. So it runs real hot. We know that much. How does it perform? It performs significantly worse than the Ryzen 7 5800X in 3D particle movement, AI benchmarks, DigiCortex, Small Dwarf Fortress Worlds, Corona benchmark, Crysis CPU only, V-Ray, Cinebench R20, Handbrake 4K 60, all archiving tests, all JavaScript and web browser tests, and SpecInt 2017.
Okay.
It performs slightly worse.
Wait,
Sorry?
Hold on a second. I was about to say, but we would expect that because it has significantly fewer cores than a 5800X. Oops, no, I misread that. It actually has the same number of cores as a 5800X. Womp, womp, womp.
It performs slightly worse than that same processor in the Y-Cruncher multi-thread, Agisoft Photoscan, GIMP application launch, NAMD Apo A1 simulation, and all gaming tests, other than some at notably high resolutions. It is on par with said processor in Blender, mid-sized and large Dwarf Fortress Worlds, Handbrake 480p Discord, and Spec 2017. Essentially, there's very few things that it's on par with it. There's even fewer things that it's significantly better.
Dwarf Fortress, okay, is
That's
best
my favorite
played,
test on this list, I just have to say.
It's best played in medium and large-sized worlds, okay? If you're playing Dwarf Fortress, can I just say for a second that if you're playing Dwarf Fortress in a small world, then you're a big piece of okay? You're
not
garbage.
A gamer.
You're
not
human,
a true
you're
gamer.
human garbage, okay?
Whoa. That's like your measure of man.
how big your Dwarf Fortress world is. I'm not even actually familiar with this benchmark. I don't even know exactly what the benchmark is.
Me neither. That's great.
I know it's
That's why
game.
It's my favorite one. It's an ancient like text-based game that we used to play on like crappy netbooks, so I don't really understand. But I'll trust AnonTech on that one. But yeah, it's only slightly better than that process, or it's only significantly better than than the Ryzen 7 5800X, to be clear, in 3D particle movement peak AVX by a factor of nearly 6, which is pretty wild, and Y-Cruncher single-threaded.
Okay, so it's the single-thread king when it comes to calculating pi. I'm not gonna lie.
Nice.
I had higher expectations based on the scuttlebutt that I had heard in the industry. I was thinking that Intel was giving up those 2 cores, because remember, this is an 8-core chip that seems to be coming in as a direct replacement for a 10-core chip. Whew. Which means that I was under the impression that Intel would be giving up those 2 cores for some very significant single-threaded performance gains. Like, I thought they were going to come back absolutely all guns ablaze and taking the gaming crown. Like, that was my expectation. Now, maybe if I hadn't read any of the rumors and I had thought that this was just going to be yet another sort of 14 nanometer reheated CPU, you know, and then, whoa, we ended up with a floating point performance gain of 19% over 10th gen and integer performance gain of 7 to 13% over 10th gen. I might have been impressed. I might have been really happy because I'd be like, oh, wow, I was expecting basically nothing and I got a lot more than nothing. I got a pretty solid generational performance improvement, but I don't know. I was just expecting it to come back absolutely
For
rocking.
people purchasing processors, do you think it's going to matter almost at all?
Well, no, because, and let me get into that. So AnandTech's review has a conclusion here that I think is interesting. Rocket Lake has some regressions in core-to-core performance and its memory latency profile. So, okay, so that's what happens when you're making a significant architectural change, I suppose, instead of just releasing the same CPU over and over again in different packages.
We're not talking about EA, we're talking about Intel.
Yeah. We'll gain here, we'll lose there. Thank you, Luke. That was good. I liked it. I quite enjoyed that. And then they go on to say, our results clearly show that Intel's performance, while substantial, still trails its main competitor AMD. In a core-for-core comparison, Intel is slightly slower and a lot more inefficient. The smart money would be to get the AMD processor. Except that I think that Dr. Cuttriss may have overlooked something. Let's go ahead and revisit my screen for a moment here, shall we? This right here is a Core i7 1100K. And I don't actually know what the US pricing is going to be because Anthony's the one who sits on the Intel briefings now, not me. So it's possible he knows, but I don't. But what I do know is that typically the way that pricing works from region to region, is that Europe gets absolutely on, because even though their currency is worth a lot more than ours, it tends to be pretty dangerously close to a one-to-one exchange rate in terms of product pricing. So I think it's fairly safe to say then that a Core i7 11700K is going to cost less than $500 in the good old US&A. So let's go ahead and try to buy a 5800X, shall we?
I don't think you read the rest of the conclusion.
Me?
Yeah.
Oh. Well, hit me with that.
So he goes on to say the smart money would blah, 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 like you said. However, due to high demand and prioritizing commercial and enterprise contracts, the only parts readily available on retail shelves right now are from Intel. Normally, this is where I would conclude with a comment on what to recommend. But the clear answer during this chip crunch is to buy the processor you can. Buy the processor you can find at a reasonable price.
Well, there you go. I lied. Also, the 5800X is in stock at Amazon.com right now. I mean, there's $189 of shipping and import fees if you ship it to Canada. So I wouldn't really recommend that, but it seems possible that this is actually in stock right now for $449.99. What's the MSRP of this thing supposed to be? 5,800. There we go. $449. Okay. Well, if you needed one of these, now's a good time. Hey, wait, don't forget to use our affiliate link. Oh, wow, the 5900X on the other hand doesn't even like return a result, so that's pretty sweet. Cool. All right. So thank you, Dr. Cuttriss, for actually indeed getting all of those details in your review. I knew I could count on you to be thorough. I was hoping to embarrass you, but you always get the drop on me, don't you, Ian? Tech Potato is still a bad name for a YouTube channel. Okay.